If there's a way to do it better, find it. That is today's quote by Thomas Edison. You might have heard of him. He's also a fan of light, like we are as photographers. And I'm excited to have a different kind of conversation with my guest today, Rob Brown, about volume photography, because although that is not what I do, it certainly is a great way to be highly profitable and successful as well. Just remind you, LucyDumasCoaching.com is where you can find more about me. There's a tab for my website. There's a tab to get in touch with me. So go there if you got any questions or needs. All right, so let me tell you about my guest today. Rob is a great example of someone who turned his passion into a thriving business. What started as a hobby quickly grew into a full-time career, capturing volume schools, sports teams, and everyday moments with heart and skill. uh, since 2020, because of COVID, he found a pivot that turned his business into a six-figure studio. He works with 15 schools and 14 sports leagues. Um, and he is going to share the art of creating smooth, efficient systems that make this easily enjoyable and an easy process for everybody. So I'm a little tongue-tied, but there, I got it out. So welcome, Rob. Thank you so much for being on my show, The Profitable Photographer.
You bet. It's nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes. So Rob's from Mississippi, and my first husband, Mr. Dumas, David Dumas, which is where I got such a great artistic last name, was from fairly close to where he is. So uh, his accent is going to feel very familiar to me. Anywho, so Rob, how did you get inspired to pick up photography as a hobby? How did you decide to turn it into a career and all that good stuff?
Well, totally by mistake. Actually, my wife wanted a good camera to take pictures of our son when he was playing sports. I was in sales, so I went and got her a Nikon D40. She used it 3 times, and then it sat in our spare bedroom for 3 years. Then we decided to go to Disney World, and I thought, well, we got a good camera, so I'm going to take that camera and take some good pictures. And of course, that didn't work out very well. So when I came back, I was like, I know people take pictures with these cameras, and they turn out really nice. So I really started kind of studying the craft of photography in August of 2010, and then ended up changing careers, going from the sales world into process improvement at our local hospital. And I needed a creative outlet. And since I was already kind of studying photography, I thought, well, that seems like a pretty good idea. So I started out wanting to do HDR and landscapes, and that just wasn't quite as interesting as photographing people.
Mhm.
So I started photographing people, and lo and behold, a couple of years later, I had a girl that I worked with ask me to do photograph her wedding. I'm like, yeah, sure. How hard can that be? And
Easy.
it's yeah, right, yeah. You don't know what you don't know at the time, and so, but it turned out okay. She and her husband loved the pictures, and that's kind of how it started. And then I started. I didn't want to do weddings all the time. I did 50 of them over the next 6 years,
Hmm.
and then but I started photographing high school seniors. And so I really liked photographing high school seniors. It's a little more, more things you could do creative. You didn't have to, you weren't under pressure to make sure you get those shots that you have to get at weddings um, all the time. And so you could always recreate something if you needed to,
Hmm.
photographing high school seniors. And I learned off camera flash because I didn't want my images to look like everybody else that was using just natural light. I love natural light, but I wanted a way to kind of stand out, and doing that gave me my own signature look. And so I was at one point doing 95 seniors a year, still working 40 hours a week at the local hospital.
Mm.
So, but they also trained me. They also trained me to be an efficiency expert. And so when COVID happened, I got furloughed. But I took all that 9 years of process improvement and efficiency training that they gave me and brought it over into my business.
Yeah.
And so then when COVID was over, I went full bore with um, volume.
So what I am noticing in your story is that you were in sales first, and then you
Mm-hmm.
had this job where they taught you efficiency. And I love how, and I'm an example like you of how things I did before photography really helped me in my photography career. For me, it was a lot about children, understanding children. I worked in a children's store. Many things led to this career. It's like we're being prepared uh, for what our real career and passion is going to be. Um, so
Yeah,
can
I
you
agree with
share?
that 100%.
Yeah. So can you share without talking about photography, just the principle of efficiency? What are a couple of things that they taught you that you were able then to, when you decided to do higher volume, that you were able to incorporate?
So efficiency is just everything is a process. Being able to step back and look at everything you do from a high level, a 35,000 foot view is what we used to call it, and then start to kind of hone in on where you run into problems. When you run
Mm-hmm.
into problems, there's processes inside of the process, right? And so being able to look at the individual steps of what you're doing and figuring out, okay, if I took this out, would that allow me to be more efficient? Could I, you know, was that we were in a hospital, so
Yeah.
everything is living inside a hospital. So we
Mm-hmm.
would look at the entire flow and then try to figure out ways to make little changes in the process in certain places in the process. And then when those were working, we would move to the next part of the process and say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, what little changes can we make here? So it's looking at, it's called Kaizen, which is basically continuous improvement. And it was the Toyota production system is where it came from.
I'm sorry,
And
the
that's
what?
the Toyota production
Oh, Toyota.
system,
Okay.
Toyota Motor Company. They're the ones that really started the efficiency model that I was trained in back right after World War II. But now all I see is processes in everything,
Mm-hmm.
not just in my work, but when you're trained, when you start training yourself to look at things as processes and steps and processes become systems, you're able to look at it in a different way than we typically as artists kind of look at the way we do things,
Right.
right? And so being able to make those small changes along the way, make small changes make big changes over time. And so that's kind of what I've been able to do on the volume side of things.
So when I was a wedding photographer, I've been around Chris, got my license in 1982. I was going to say 52. No, 82. Um, and I began to figure out what you're talking about. And I had someone that would be my assistant a lot. And after a wedding, we would talk about, okay, this thing went well. Let's do that again. This was not so good. How can we resolve it? And I didn't realize I was using Toyota's efficiency system, but I was thinking through constantly what are some of the things that seem to happen over and over again. Like, for example, florists and makeup people are the ones that would make the wedding run late most commonly. So I told them to tell them an hour earlier that when they needed to be done because they don't realize everything, about once they're there, that's just the start, and there's a whole, million other things that have to happen after. So, yeah, I love knowing that. I hope people are thinking, where can I, where's some glitches in what I'm doing right now? So, now let's get specific. Well, first of all, I'm going to ask another question and we'll swing back around to your efficiency system in
Okay.
school photography. Uh, so is your volume both with the seniors and the sports?
No, my volume is just with schools and sports. I've actually pulled way back on high school seniors. This year, I'm actually only photographing 25 seniors.
Hmm.
Last year, I did 75. However, in growing the volume side of my business and trying to scale it up, I had to make a sacrifice somewhere, and
Mm,
so that was with cutting back on the number of seniors that I'm photographing this year. I've actually also made the decision I'm going to cut back to only 10 high school seniors next year,
okay.
um, just because the volume business is growing. It's going to continue to grow. That's really kind of the beautiful thing about volume. Um, it's repeatable and scalable. And so once you have your processes super tight, your systems in place, so they're working the way that they should work, scaling volume. It's not easy because you still have to go out and get the clients, the customers, the sports leagues, the schools. You still have to do all of those things. But once you get a reputation for having, being very efficient, not taking forever, um, good good looking prints that come back, that can be delivered directly to the client, you start to get a reputation for, being able to do, what you built your system to do in the first place.
Mm. So I used to think that that was the closest thing to hell for me. And then I had a conversation uh, with one of my guests who does something similar. And what he explained to me is when you've got a system and other people, because you're not doing this all on your own, you've got a team. I'm I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure it's safe
Well,
to say that. Uh, and
to a degree, yes. I'm still the only photographer. So
oh, okay. Um, anyway, what he shared was that when there's a system like that and you're doing volume and you're bringing in good money, there's more time to be creative on your own like imagination of the personal work. So, do you find that's true that you have actually more like bandwidth for whatever it is you want to do in your life that isn't work because you've got this system and you're making your money in these chunks? Is that like, tell me the advantages for you on that?
yes and no. I'm a workaholic.
Okay.
Um, I I've always been a workaholic. Now I will say that by pulling back on the seniors, it does give me more bandwidth. But my bandwidth is kind of geared towards, okay, how can I continue? Who can I go get? What schools can I go talk to? What sports leagues can I go get and build the business? And who can I, who are the other people that I can bring in to photograph the kids so that I can kind of operate as the CEO instead of doing all the photography. And so I am starting to get to that point now where I am looking for people that I can bring in to photograph the kids so that I can kind of be the driver of everything. So I'm still doing a lot of photography, but at the same time, I also have, since I'm not photographing as many seniors, I also have time in the afternoons and the evenings and some on the weekends that I can do other things. You know, I
Hmm.
can spend more time with my wife. I can go to, like I did this past weekend, I can go to my alma mater's homecoming and we can spend the weekend with our son, and I don't have to worry about getting back at any certain time because I've got to photograph someone. So
Hmm.
so yeah, there's advantages. There's definitely advantages to it. The other thing about volume is that you can set it up where you can have those chunks of time where you're not photographing people if you want to. I like to work, so my gaps are basically around holidays. And the rest of the year, I'm trying to photograph as many kids as I can, which leads to sales. So
Right. And that leads to money. And
right, exactly.
yeah, well, since it's been about 5 years you've been growing this, it makes sense that you're still in a building phase in a way. Is there an ideal number of events that you'd really love to have compared to what you have now?
Um,
Not
that's an
events,
interesting
but
question.
schools, organizations, whatever it is that
Schools and leagues, yeah. I would love to have somewhere between 50 and 75 school buildings. Um, at my peak. Obviously, I can't photograph all those by myself.
no.
So building that team of people that that can come in, and I can teach them, to do, teach them the processes so that they understand how they work and why we do the things we do. That, like I said, that's kind of where I'm to that point now that I'm ready to start bringing people in and teaching them what I know, um, in order to grow the business.
Yeah.
So as far as sports leagues go, I would love to have another 20 or 30 sports leagues um, in North Mississippi, and so that's kind of what my goals are as far as going out and getting new business. So
Hmm.
I figure for schools, I'm about a third of the way to where I want to be as far as the number of schools go.
So, when you're doing schools, are you working with yearbook staff on some things, or is this completely separate from team photos that they might use in yearbooks and such?
So when I give a proposal to a school, it is an all-encompassing, especially for middle schools and high schools. I want all of it. I want the school day pictures. I want the sports teams. Um, I when I so I sell packages to the parents for school day pictures and for sports pictures,
Okay.
and then for the team photos for as far as sports goes, I then give those team photos to the yearbook staff so that they can use them in the yearbook. Um, there are photographers that don't do that. I don't understand why they don't
Right.
do that, but I give the pictures to the school, and let them use them in the yearbook. And the individual photos are composites, and so I also, if the schools ask for the knockouts to use for game day promotions and those sorts of things, I allow them to do that as well. School day pictures, I there's a file that we run through the lab, that basically the yearbooks can just drop the kids right in there in alphabetical order or in homeroom order, and it's a really easy process, and that's kind of standard, as far as I've been able to tell across volume photographers.
Sure.
Now, some volume photographers do yearbooks. I don't do yearbooks. I just work with the yearbook staff, and get them what they need to put out a great book.
Do you do some candids and things for them as well?
No, no, I do not. When I first started 15 years ago, I would go to ball games and photograph, ball games and those sorts of things. And I do that for my hometown just because they're the ones that kind of gave me um, access to being able to be on the field and those types of things the years ago. But other schools, I do not do candids or sports events or anything like that. They take care of those things.
Yeah.
So
I was on yearbook and yearbook editor, so it's a dear to my heart thing. And
yeah, yeah,
there's a
yeah.
very
And
famous
I
photographer that you probably haven't heard of, Mr. Philip Jarris, who is who created one of the most high-end studios and styles of photography. But when I was in high school, he was doing school photography, and he was our our photography company until it was the year I was on yearbook and we couldn't afford him anymore. And so I got
oh,
some business that wasn't nearly as good. We were so spoiled. So yeah, I get that.
yeah.
And it's a lot of work to serve a school. Are there like in San Diego, at least it's I know it's been this way. I couldn't guarantee it still is, but there were guarantees and kickbacks and money and things involved in being the yearbook and team photographer. Is that something that you have to negotiate with school?
So I do not do that. I do not give commissions anymore. Schools are federally and state funded, and to me, I've always felt this way, but I've gotten to the point now where I just won't do it anymore. It's to me, it looks like a pay to play
Mhm.
situation, and again, now, do schools get enough money from the federal and their state governments? No,
No.
they don't. But photography is a service.
Mhm.
I am providing a service to my schools and my sports leagues, and the way I've explained, because I've had principals and superintendents that kind of push back on that, and they're like, well, we're giving you access to be able to take the pictures of the kids. I said, yeah, but the argument that I give back to them is well, are you giving 30 or 45% of your salary back to the district? Because if you didn't have access to the kids, you wouldn't have a job. And they're like, well, no, well, why would we do that? And they kind of stop and they catch themselves like,
Mhm.
oh, okay, we kind of get that. And I don't know where all that started. I don't know how it started, but you know, um, I don't agree with it. I never have. I always thought it was, it is a kickback.
Right.
And I just I just put a stop to it. The only exception to that is one of my sports leagues. It is in the proposal that there is a 15% commission, and that's the only one that I do it for, because that is a 2-year contract, and I've had that contract since 2016 actually.
Mhm.
Before I even really knew what volume photography was, I was doing volume photography for
Mhm.
that sports group.
Yeah.
And so, but it's my hometown Parks and Rec. I love them. I love the people. I love the parents. I love the kids. And so I don't mind at all donating that 15% of what we take in over the course of a year, because I see what that goes to.
Right.
That goes to field improvements. That goes to um, help with their facilities, and I'm okay with that because it's my hometown and I love it. So
Right. And I think there's a difference between a kickback to get a job and commission. And I think it's great that you're refusing to play that game because whoever it was that started doing it, then it kind of poisoned the well for everybody because
right,
then the next person has to do it, and it's a game of not who do we think is going to do the best job and make our students and parents happy, but who's going to give us the best kickback. And so I love,
exactly,
when you refuse to do it, and then if others in your state or community refuse to do it, then, it that tradition can just go away. I love hearing that.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah. We break the cycle.
yes, I'm ready to talk about efficiency with some
Okay.
step-by-step uh, processes. And there's something that you said, it's like you had a name for what you do, but um, well, efficient processes lead to sound systems. So let's talk about that
Yeah.
in relation to volume, school, and sports photography.
So, my favorite quote is from James Clear's book, Atomic Habits. It's in there. It's at the end of chapter 1, if anybody wants to go and look it up. But he says in there, we don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our system.
Mm.
And so I didn't hear that quote until I was about 3 years in, 2 or 3 years into doing what I'm doing. Um, and I didn't invent this stuff, right? Like there are other people that are doing this process similar to the way, or maybe even no, I won't say exactly the same way, but I didn't reinvent the wheel, right? I went to a boot camp in the summer of 2021 and learned the basics of what I do. And then I came home and I put that into play. And then I started changing it and making it work for me. So, in a nutshell, from a bullet point standpoint, I'll do a sports league. The way it works is I get the rosters from the organization. I put it in the computer system that I use for the lab that I use. I get a registration code. I put that registration code on my company's Facebook page. I send it to the organization. They send it out. Parents go in. They register their children. If they don't, I have one of my team members, goes back to the people that work with me. I have a 5-person team that works with me for sports leagues. I have a person that does the registrations. They scan a QR code, put their information in, and they're registered. They come up, they give the kids or the parents give their child's name to my data entry specialist, who is sitting at an iMac with a spreadsheet up that has all the kids' names on it, a column for the team, because again, we do all composites. We don't do traditional teams. We do composites. So we take usually 2 photos of each child. We do a team pose and we do an individual pose. We give the data specialist the file name off the back of the camera, and that child is done. And so we do that for everybody. It can be anywhere from 80 people to 350 people depending on the size of our leagues. And once we're done, I outsource all of my product building to Rebuku. I'm not sponsored by them, but they are who help me do what I do.
What is
They
Reboot?
build all of my teams.
What is Reboot?
They are for lack of a better term, they're a retouching. They do retouching. They do extractions. I'm on their white glove service. So all I do, and they have a website, it's rebuku.com, and people can go and use their team building segment of their website to upload teams, 1 or 2 teams, 3 teams. And they have instructions on how they do that. But because I do 600 teams a year, I have an FTP server that I just upload all of my files and my spreadsheets and my templates to, and then they build everything for me. And I
Okay.
usually have, depending on the size, I'm sorry.
Is it Rebook You? Reboot? How do you spell that?
Yes, it's
So
rebooku.com.
okay.
Rebook you is how it's they pronounce it Rebuku.
Yes. Okay. I just wanted to look that up and spell it right for my show notes.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
so you're not, so having all of this, I know there's more that you were going to say, but because you've got systems, people, companies that are your partners, then that
Hmm.
you're not doing all the back end work. So I can see how you could be the main photographer or even the only photographer. I imagine you bring a team of helpers on the shoots, but it's like
Yep.
once you're done shooting, it's sort of like the dream of a shoot and burn photographer is I don't want to have to mess with anything. I just want to shoot. And only this way you're making big money. So yeah, I can see how it would free you up to do that part if that's the part you want to do. Okay, so you send to Rebook You or Rebuku, um,
Yep.
and then what comes after that?
So after that, it takes usually 7 to 10 days for them to build everything, and I proof them. I proof the images before I get them back to make sure that everything looks right. And they they have a dedicated team that works on my just on my teams, because they've been doing them for so long. And I say so long, it's been 3 years now that we've been working together with them. And so they pretty much know what I want, but I still get proofs of each team, a memory mate, an individual, and a magnet template, which is what I sell.
Hmm.
And then I get those back, I upload them, and then once they're linked to the kids, the parents receive an email telling them that their child's photos are ready to view and order, and they go online, look at them, and place their orders. They have about 2 weeks from the time the first email goes out, and the emails are sent uh, on a schedule, also done by the lab that I work with. They are sent on a schedule so that if parents don't order on day one, then they will be reminded over the course of the next 2 weeks that those photos are available. Don't forget to view and order them. And that's pretty much the way it works.
So what lab do you work with?
It's Candid Color Systems
Uh-huh.
out
They've been
of
around a
Oklahoma
long
City.
time.
Yeah, they have, and volume is kind of what they do. They are specialists
Hmm.
when it comes to volume. I think they do. I think if our memory serves me correct, they either do 65 or 75% of all university graduations in the United States.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, I know I've
So
seen
yeah,
them
they
many,
they
many
know
times.
volume.
I know I've seen them many times at the PPA imaging
Yep,
expo, and I've
yep,
been going to those for 40 years, so hard to believe, but yes.
yep.
Okay. So we didn't do the bullet points, so I'm gonna see if I can um summarize what you said. So the first thing
Okay.
is you let's see, where did I get that? So you get the roster, step one, and then
Yep.
you do data entry into a computer and you send that to your lab. So why do you send the roster to the lab at that point?
Okay, so with Candid, when you upload that roster, that is how you can get your link registration link and QR code. And
Okay.
so when
Okay.
parents go in, they put in. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. So then you've got a QR code and you give it to
Yep.
parents of the kids who are going to be photographed. And so they register
Correct.
to be photographed before the session. Is that what you're saying?
They do. And the parents put in the child's first name and last name and the team that they play on. and then it's automatically linked to the child, that their email address and or cell phone number are automatically linked to the kid's name in the Candid system.
Okay.
And so that's why we upload the rosters ahead of time.
Okay. So I'm guessing then you're able to email, remind them it's coming up. This is the date, things like that, so that when the kid arrives, they're prepared. They know the date. It's not random. Am I right in that?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So then you shoot the kids. I don't like the word shoot, but I used it.
Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah,
You
yeah,
photograph the
we all
kids.
of us yeah, all of us photographers know what that means.
Yes.
So
So you shoot the kids, only the ones that have registered, or can somebody say, "Hey, I didn't see the email"?
no, we photograph everyone. That way they're in the team photo. But we also I have one of my team members that is going down the line asking the parents, did you register?
Got it.
If they say yes, they keep moving. If not, they have the QR code right there. They help them register.
Got it.
So that way everybody gets the emails after the fact.
Okay. So you do two shots of each kid and a team, and then you send all of that over to rebook/Rebuku,
Yes.
and then they retouch, they
Yeah.
extract, they
So
do composites.
no, okay. So we don't actually photograph the entire team together.
It's a compo
We do two poses. It's a
Okay.
composite. Yeah. Yeah.
Ah,
I
okay.
actually run I actually run all of the photos through Evoto before they go to Rebuku.
Got it.
So I
So,
do all the retouching.
so
I do all the retouching.
Evoto is a system that does editing to pull out um, the best and also does a little bit of color balancing and things like that. Is that right?
So you can do color balance. You can do color balancing. I use it mainly for skin retouching and getting rid of stray hairs.
Oh,
If but you can also do color balancing. You can also do extractions in Evoto. I don't because Rebuku is going to charge me for it anyway, so I may as well just let them do it.
okay.
If it's not broke, don't fix it. So,
And if
but yes, you can do a lot of things inside Evoto. It
okay,
is actually my primary uh, retouching software at this point.
okay, evoto.com. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so okay, so once you do the session, the team, you send it off to Evoto to do uh, the things that they do for you. And then you send it to Rebuku or you,
So Evoto is a program that I do on my computer. Like I do all of that myself,
right,
and then I send them to Rebuku. Yes.
for extra retouching extractions. So what is,
No, they don't do any retouching. They do extractions. They build the individual photos and the memory mates and the
okay,
teams. They put the teams together and all that.
okay. So Evoto gets the images ready. Rebuku preps it for the team things, the
Mm-hmm.
group the group shot with the pictures
Yes, ma'am.
and any other like magic, prepping it to go eventually when Color Candid system gets it, it's it's just good to go. Is that right?
Yeah. So yes, that's correct. So when I get the images back from Rebuku, I have the team photos, I have the memory mates, I have the individual photos that parents can order 8x10s or 5x7s from, and I have the template for magnet 3.5x5 magnets.
Okay.
And so then yeah,
So
then
then
I upload those to the Candid system
okay, you upload it to the
and
Candid
link
system
them.
and they send it
Mhm.
the notices out with reminders to the parents order, and then Candid Color takes over from there and prints and ships. Is that right?
Correct.
So,
Correct.
yeah, love it, love it, love it.
Yeah.
What did you
And
do? What did
no, I
you,
was just going to say,
go ahead.
there are other companies that do essentially the same thing that Candid does. Candid is just the one that I have chosen to use. There's Photo Day, there's Got Photo, there's other solutions out there. Just so people know, I love Candid, and they're who I chose to use when
Yeah,
I decided to do that. So
yeah. Well, and this is listened to in 108 countries, including
right,
Russia and China, so they may have their own labs. So
right,
I love that all the things that I might do to fulfill an order for a client of a high-end multi-wall portrait order, it's all the same steps, but you've got companies that support you, you've got systems in place that then
right,
doing the portraits, the photographs, uh, is something that you can do, and you're there with your fun personality, and hey Rob, he's a great guy, all of those things, and you don't have to burn yourself out with the stuff that so when I started in photography to get a little money and some experience, I hired on just a couple days a week with some studios that did high volume, and I watched them do all the things you're talking about, and but not with any systems, not I mean they had systems. You've always got a system even if it's not ideal, but all the
right,
packaging and ordering and phone calls and reminding and people coming in to look at it, or people having to pre-order or sending proofs home, or all of that stuff back, when dinosaurs roamed the earth, kind of thing, pre-computers, pre-digital, everything. So I know there's a
right,
lot involved, and there's so much that I'm hearing from you that can make it go so smoothly. Uh, once you get in that system, then it's just you got a new school, it's a plug and play, right?
right. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. And I used to do all that stuff. I used to do all that stuff on my by myself. Like I used to when I got started with sports teams, like I would build all of those things myself.
Hmm.
So I've been there. Like that's part of that continuous process improvement model that I learned, from my previous life,
Hmm.
is that you you cannot scale a volume business, I don't think, and do it all by yourself.
Right.
It's just not possible. So you kind of have to figure it out as you go, or take somebody's, like what I do, learn how to do what I do, and then adjust it for yourself too. So
Right, right. And some people don't have any interest in the photography part, so they do the managerial or whatever it takes on the other
right,
end to do the part that you like, that you're good at, and find somebody to do what you don't want to do. So
exactly,
any
exactly.
tips, anything we've left out of that part of this conversation?
I don't think so. Not as far
Yeah.
as the systems go. Like I said, you just kind of have to start it, and you kind of learn as you go, so to speak, in a lot of
Mhm.
ways. Well, just like kind of like anything else, and any other type of photography that you do, we all improve ourselves in whatever we do. I'm not the same high school senior photographer that I was, even last year, because there's things that I realized that I could improve on. It's the same thing. It's just putting a name with it, and realizing that if you make those changes and you repeat those changes, everything's going to get better, and
Right.
everything's going to become more efficient. And that's really what it comes back to. And it doesn't have to be volume photography. It can be seniors, it can be kids, it can be weddings, You just have to recognize that all of these things are processes and
Right.
all of them can be improved.
Right. So since I mentioned my first husband, well, my second husband worked at Solar Turbines, which makes turbine engines for all kinds of things. And he was a production control specialist. And when I first said, "What is that?" He said, "Well, when somebody orders, he's in the split ring cell, he was, which is a piece of a turbine engine. So when an order comes in for an engine, he gets the order to build this, whatever it is, thing, split ring cell, and he has to make sure they've got the parts on hand, the parts that are the other parts connected to these parts. He has to schedule those getting put together. And he'd get a call at 4 in the morning. You got to come in because this one didn't arrive, or, he had a whole system. And that made me realize, oh, I'm also a production control specialist. Uh,
Right.
as a wedding photographer, there's once I get the client and then photograph, then and get the order, then there's steps and steps and steps and steps to get the final
Right.
order delivered. And I think a lot of people are afraid of that because they don't know what they don't know, and they think it's a lot of work. But we develop those habits and systems, um, and then ta-da, the client's coming to pick up their art, and they're crying and they hug me and they're happy and I'm happy and they write me the final big check. So it can
Right.
be with volume, or it can be with, I can make a good living with 40 or 50 great portrait clients uh, in
Mm-hmm.
a, in a year when all goes well. But we've got to have those systems. Yeah. Um, okay, so is there a fun story about a school or an event or something that comes to mind? Uh,
Well, so I said I do most of the photography for my volume work. So this year, we had scheduled a 600, two 600, well, a total of 600 kids, two different leagues. I'm sorry, three different leagues, total of 600 kids for a Saturday, and Saturday, September the 6th. And it rained.
mhm.
And so we got completely washed out. Like
Wow.
we didn't take a single picture. We didn't even set up because the weather was so terrible. So now we had to reschedule all three of those leagues,
Oh, geez.
and my schedule for the fall was already set for me. So those three leagues were photographed by, we'll call him my associate photographer,
Hmm.
because I guess technically that's what he would be,
Hmm.
and my team of high school students that work for me. And several of the parents got there on the first day, and they were like, "Where's Rob?" And
Hmm.
so they were a little shocked, but then they, like, I had several of them texting me going, "Are you coming?" And I'm texting them back like, "Nope, he's going to take great care of you." So it was kind of funny just that they were a little shocked that I wasn't there
Hmm.
taking their pictures. And but to us it was funny because you know my associate photographer is perfectly capable and has been for me. He's been with me since I started my company.
Hmm.
He's a friend of mine, and he likes to photograph people too. And so it's just kind of, he was my second shear on 99% of my weddings that I did.
Hmm.
And when we transitioned out of weddings, more into volume and high school seniors, he's kind of come over with us and did a great job photographing those 600 kids over the last month. So it was just kind of fun. It's funny to us. I don't think the parents thought it was real funny at first, but When they realized that he did know what he was doing,
Yeah.
it just makes it kind of easy. And so
Yeah.
I literally became I literally became a magician because I can be in two places at once,
Yes.
which I was for several of those days. So that was nice.
Abracadabra.
And yeah, exactly,
Is there
exactly.
something you would do if that were to happen again? Would you send out a couple of emails saying, here's the date? Uh, your photographer is going to be so and so, not
Yeah, I probably
apologetic,
would.
but just
Yeah, I probably would. I wasn't apologetic on this because,
no.
like I said, I knew he could do the job. But yeah, I would probably give the parents a little bit of a heads up, instead of just them showing up and me not being there.
Hmm.
Um, but like I said, and then the parents told the other parents for the other days. So I didn't, there was no more surprises after that.
Oh,
So, and
good.
didn't have any problems or anything like that. So, and it wasn't really a problem the first day. It was just kind of a shock to a lot of
Yeah.
them. So,
So would you consider bringing uh, enough equipment that you could actually set up in the gym or some other spot for those?
um, so, so the thing is the leagues that we were doing were football, baseball, and softball leagues, and so these are park and rec organizations.
Okay.
They're not schools. And so we have been setting up outside to do those pictures um, for the last 4 years, 5 years. And so that process is not really able to be changed.
Hmm.
We've tried to do it before where it was good. We knew we were going to get rained out and set up in my studio and let the parents bring the kids to the studio. But that didn't work because they weren't playing on those nights, so
Hmm.
they weren't going to get out, and they got a night off, so they're not going to get the kids dressed up in their uniforms and bring them to my studio to be photographed. So we just canceled it and rescheduled it as best we
Yeah.
could. So
Well, thanks for that very interesting story. So I am almost out of time. I have two questions
okay,
for you. Number one,
okay.
if someone had questions for you, um, want to look at your website, how would they get in touch with you and where would they go?
So my website is just trageportraits.com. It's TEERAGE
Okay.
portraits with an S.com. They can get me on Instagram at trage_portraits, and they can search on Facebook Trage Portraits and Frames.
Okay.
Now, happy to.
What is the name T-Rage? Where does that come from?
So um, it came to me in the middle of the night on October the 16th, 2012. We decided we were going to start a business, but Rob Brown photography just doesn't really fit my personality.
Mhm.
And so I spent about 2.5 hours trying to figure out a name to call it. And I'm like, I'm just going to go to bed, get up and work on it tomorrow. And at 3:30 in the morning, that name woke me up out of a dead sleep. So I'll try to make this as quick as possible. But my son and my middle name is Lee, and my son's first name is Tucker. So that's where the T comes from. My wife's name is Paige, and she spells it Page. So the R from Rob replaced the P, and that's where the rage comes from. And then the portraits fits perfect for Paige. So if you take all the
Mhm.
letters out except for the first letter of each word, you have TRP with Tucker, Rob, and Page, and that's where it came from. So,
Oh,
and it's just not going to change it.
I like
So
it. Do people
some
call you
people,
Mr. T-Rage?
yeah, they do. Yeah, the kids call me T Rage. I have parents that call me T Rage. There was one dad that literally called me that for years, and then he finally came up to me a couple of years ago and goes, "Man, I didn't realize that wasn't your name." I said, "Man, if that was my name, my parents must have really hated me." I'm just saying. Um, so, but
Yeah.
yeah, so some of them call me Mr. Rob. But a lot of them call me T Rage. All the coaches call me T Rage, and it's fine. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't put my face with the brand for the first 4 years that I was in business because I wanted the brand to stand on its own.
Hmm.
And it has, and it does. And so I accomplished the goal that I set for that. It does stand on its own.
I
So
like it. I like it. All right. So last question, either is there something that you might think after we say goodbye? Oh, I wish I had mentioned that. Or do you have a parting thought for us?
volume is not sexy, but it is certainly profitable.
Mm,
And so if you are scared of getting into it because you think that it's going to be a whole lot of work and you're not going to make any money doing it, um, get into it
mm,
because you can definitely make money doing it, um, and just try it. You may not like it. If you don't like it, that's fine. You don't have to like it. So if you don't like it, don't do it. But I started trying it and I liked it and it fits my personality and it fits my background as being a process improvement expert or efficiency expert, and I love it. Like I to the point that there's going to be a day in the not too distant future where I'm only doing volume photography and Magic of Santa sessions
mm.
at the in the fall of the year. So
Right.
I'm going to niche down and just do volume and Santa. So
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much. I want to remind people to stay tuned
thank you, Lucy.
for my little wrap up, but I'm really glad that Chris Fritchie said, "Hey, talk to Rob Brown. He's got a lot to share," because we're always talking about portraits and in-person sales and things like this, but I can see the beauty of the volume where you could just plug and play and maybe open a division if you decided you wanted to do something for big money where maybe you only have 10 or 20 a year, but their average sale is 10 grand and they get you doing art, photography, or whatever might be something super fun that you can create the space for whatever else you might want to do because you've got this system that's bringing in really good money. Um, the other, somebody posted on Facebook, um, what's your plan for retirement? It's a photography group. And so many people were like, what is that? Ha ha ha. You know, I can't even afford my life today. And it made me so sad to think that, first of all, it sounded almost like a badge of honor to say, I'm never going to be able to
Yeah,
retire. And what I love about what you're
yeah,
doing, I assume that with this $1 million or this six figure, I'm imagining it's a healthy six figure that leaves you money left
yeah,
over to save, to invest, to uh, do things that are going to put you in a good position with your family to retire if you want to, when you want to. That it's not just about the
yeah.
money we want today, but about the future
No,
that we want to live.
yeah. So the goal in scaling is to be a $10 million a year studio. That's the
Mhm.
goal. That is the goal. And that is not for now. That's for down the road, right?
Right.
So I I don't plan to retire, not because I can't, but because I don't want to. I want to stay active. I want to work. I've seen enough people that have retired that when they retire, they start to fall apart. Their health decreases, gets terrible. And I don't want to be that way. I
Hmm.
want to work for as long as I'm able to work. And if I choose to not do it anymore, it's going to be because I choose like, well, I'm tired. I'm going to take a year off and I might come back or I might not. But it's going to be my choice. It's not going to, if I work till I'm 80, it's going to be because I choose to, not because I have to. So
Right.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
And I didn't think I'd ever want to
yeah.
retire.
I don't wear that like a badge. I don't wear that like a badge of honor. I just that's just kind of how I'm built.
Yeah.
So I don't plan to retire, but one day I wake up and go,
Yeah.
yeah, I think I'm going to.
Stuff happens. And, um,
Yeah,
I don't actively seek portrait assignments anymore. I'm not retired officially, but I don't do what it takes. And if I never photograph a family at the beach in triangles with white shirts and khaki pants ever again, I'm okay with that.
you're okay with that, right?
It's
Yeah,
about
yeah,
options, about thinking about our career as a career and not a daily cash cow survival. So I love that you
exactly,
have
exactly.
goals and that then you'll be a choice. Or if something happens where you can't work, you're not, you know, you're all going
Destitute.
to be okay and your family's going to be okay. So
Yeah,
that I don't
yeah,
usually share more
exactly.
after your wrap up, but it just gave me that thought that I just want to share with people listening to think about your future, plan for your future, not just
Yeah,
today. All right, Mr. Rob.
yeah.
So
Thank you, Lucy. I
thank you
appreciate it.
so much. Have a great rest of your fall. We've just begun. So um,
I know, I know. You too.
take care.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. All righty. So here I am back, and I really enjoyed talking to him. And my first husband being from Mississippi, I had a lot of flashbacks about the the trip I took and some things that my mother-in-law used to say that he said. So that was really fun for me. It's part of why I do the podcast is meeting fun people. So let me see if I can do a little quick uh, what to know. So basically, volume is a way, as I hear it, to bring in a lot of cash if you do it right, that you're not reinventing the wheel, you're not digging deep into your creativity, you're not having to learn how to do sales. Um, you set up a system, and his system is first to get people to register, and then he sends that to his photo lab, and they create a QR code so that then everything else will work efficiently. Uh, if people haven't registered when it's photo day, they register right there on the spot, register their kids. And then after they do the photography, he sends it to a company called Evoto, which does a lot of basic prepping the images. And then he sends it over to what was that, Rebuku, um, to prep the specific memory mates and different things that someone could order, sends it over to the lab, and then the lab sends out emails and reminders that the prints are up, or the photos are up, get your order in. And then orders, um, the lab gets the orders and they fulfill everything. And he keeps the money. What's the profit from all of that? So it was very helpful for me to think about how you can set up an efficient system in anything we do so that it goes easily, smoothly, and profitably. So that's it for now. And be sure to stay tuned for other episodes because we've got some good ones. And remember, it's on YouTube as well as all the podcast platforms. Okay, bye.